Hi, tonight we're going to be making the sausage and cabbage bake from the Fall and Winter 2025 Season's Best Recipe Collection from Pampered Chef. It's a great fall recipe that fits right in with Oktoberfest with the sausage and the cabbage and the apples, and everything is freshly in season. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our air fryer, deluxe air fryer and oven. We're going to turn it on, and this is going to use that feature of the sink finish. So we're going to set the deluxe air fryer and oven to sink finish by pushing our sink finish button. And then we're going to set the bottom compartment here to roast. We're going to push it to select that, and we want it to roast for an hour. There we go. Select. And then we're going to set the top compartment. We want custom. We're going to adjust our temperature to 425 and our time for cooking to 30 minutes. And what this will do is it will start our bottom compartment cooking, and then when it's time, it will start the top compartment, and that way everything finishes at the right time. You don't have to worry about watching your timer. And actually, given that that's an hour and a half hour, this recipe comes together really quickly. So don't let that time fool you. You do need to allow time to have it cook and have dinner on the table. But with that hour that you have where everything's kind of doing its own thing in there, the air fryer and oven's taking care of it for you, you can be doing something else, finishing the laundry, helping the kids with homework, or much like that commercial we have on TV, you can be in here acting like you're slaving away at dinner and actually reading whatever you want to be reading or streaming. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to start with, and this is the first time I'm making this recipe. I've said before, they tell us not to do it the first time on video, but I don't really, I do it anyway. You guys can see what it's like to try it for the first time this way. Okay, so we're going to start by arranging the sausage links and apples. It says on this foil-lined air fryer rack, I'm just going to use our baking tray here. So I'm going to move my camera down so you guys can see what all I'm doing. So I'm going to arrange my sausages here on that tray. And I am using tofurkey brats for this. We are a plant-based household, so that's what we use when we do stuff like this. But you are more than welcome to use whatever your family likes to use. Okay, so we're going to arrange these on here in various ways. Just going to make it so that there's enough room for the air to get through and around to cook those. There we go. Okay, move that off to the side. And we're going to slice our apple. We're going to wedge it. And I'm just using our apple wedger here. Classic Pampered Chef tool that so many people have. Make sure your fingers are out of the way because this is quite sharp. There we go. And I'm using Gala apples. You can use, you want to do some sweet apples, something to kind of balance the savory part of the meal. So you get kind of the sweet and savory together. So you want something like a Fuji or Gala or Honey Crisp. That being said, you can also use whatever you have on hand. Those are recommendations. Like I tend to say, these are more like guidelines, not rules when you're cooking. So feel free to adapt a recipe to whatever you need. Okay, so that, I'm gonna put this off to the side. That was it for setting up this part, guys. How quick and easy was that? Okay, we're gonna put that back there so it's ready to go in when the oven is ready. And now we're gonna get started on our cabbage. This calls for a 2-pound cabbage. As you can see, I'm using one that I've already used before. So I've already used a quarter of this cabbage for something else. So that's okay. This is not, exact science when it comes to this meal. You can make some adaptations. So this has gotten a little bit dry, so I just want to cut the edge off a little bit. No big deal. There we go. Okay, and so this, we're just going to cut into big chunks. There we go. And I'm going to put this into my baking pan. This is my small oven baking pan for the deluxe air fryer and oven. Okay, put this down, and we're going to do the same thing with this half of cabbage. Again, I want to cut off my edge that I have there. It's gotten a little bit dry. I'm gonna cut the core out and cut this into chunks. There we go. Keep your fingers out of the way. And there we go. Okay, and so while I'm doing this, if you want to make any comments down below, if you have any questions, feel free to comment or send me a DM. Either way, I'm happy to talk about various recipes or questions about this one in particular. If you want to talk about plant-based options or other adaptations, this dish in general is pretty, unless there's gluten in the sausages you're using, which, you know, they hide stuff and all sorts of things. But this looks like a fairly, it's labeled gluten-free. So if you watch make sure you're watching the ingredients of what you're using. It should be a gluten-free dish. Okay, so there we go. And also it's very budget friendly. Cabbage is one of the cheapest things you can find out there. I love it. It's also one of the healthiest. So, you know, we keep hearing about, especially things like colon cancer rates going up and stuff like that. And one of the best things you can be doing is eating those, you know, leafy greens like the cabbage. And there's my air fryer. It's ready when I am. Okay, this next step is going to be the sauce for our cabbage here. And it calls for 1.5 cups of apple juice. I'm going to start with a cup just so I can more easily combine things in my measure-all cup here. So I've got a cup in my measure-all cup of apple juice, and then we need 2 tablespoons of spicy brown mustard. Now each one of these lines here is 2 tablespoons. Okay, so I'm just going to do 2 tablespoons there. Raise up to the next line, and of course my mustard was pretty messy coming out. That's the way it rolls sometimes. Okay, let's get our mustard in there. There we go. And then we're going to do 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. There we go. And 2 tablespoons. This is my 1/2 tablespoon. There we go. 2 tablespoons of our 3 onion rub. And like I said, this is my 1/2 tablespoon, so it's going to take me 4 scoops of this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. Okay, I'm going to take my whisk and give that a good mixing. That is going to be so good, all those flavors there. Okay, and I'm going to add another 1/2 cup. There we go. Give that a final mix. A little messy, but that's the way things go in the kitchen sometimes. We'll clean it up after. And that's the nice thing too about this bake time is I can actually get the kitchen cleaned up from all this food prep, and we'll have dinner with a clean kitchen, and then all we have to do is throw the dishes in the dishwasher and we are done for the night. I love things that are that easy. Okay. There we go. I'm gonna mix this up a little bit, move my rub around, make sure that flavor gets all around everything. Okay, there we go. So now we're gonna put this in the oven. Give me just a minute here. Okay, I'll move the camera back up for you. And we're gonna put this in the oven now. So we're gonna start with putting, it says add food. So we're gonna add our sausage and apples up here. Like I said, that will start, that's our shorter 1/2 hour one. So that will start cooking at the appropriate time. This is our cabbage, it goes in first, or it goes in as well. This will start baking first, it's already heated up. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna press that button there to say that we've added the food. You can see the timer counting down here, and this is on hold. Now about halfway through our cooking time, at about 30 minutes, we're going to pull that cabbage out briefly, give it a stir, and then 15 minutes after that, we're gonna give it another stir. And dinner will be ready in an hour. And I'll see you when that's all set, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so we're back and our meal is almost ready. So now we're going to make our sauce, which is gonna go with our sausage, apples, and cabbage when it comes out. So let's go ahead and get started on that. I'm gonna move my camera back down so you can see what I'm doing. Let me grab my bowl and we'll move this back down. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna start with a 1/4 cup of sour cream or Greek yogurt. I'm using Kite Hills. Those of you who know, like I said earlier, actually, we're plant-based here. So I'm gonna be using Kite Hills Greek yogurt style. There we go, plant-based yogurt. And of course, I'm going to be very messy about it. Get this over, I'm getting used to where the camera is when I've got the phone sideways. Okay, there we go. So there is our 4 tablespoons or 1/4 cup of Greek yogurt. There we go. Okay, and next we have 2 tablespoons of our spicy brown mustard. Okay, and I'm using our petite measure all cup. Let's see here. Get that down in there. There we go. I love how I can use this for, things like our mustard and our yogurt here on this side. You could also use it for dry ingredients. Anything that's kind of hard to measure, mayonnaise, stuff like that, that's hard to get it out. Peanut butter is a big one for this too. We're using it for our mustard right now. Okay, and that's going to go down in. There we go. And then we need 2 tablespoons of our maple syrup. And for that, we're going to use our wet ingredient side. 2 tablespoons there. Okay. Put that in. And should have opened this beforehand. There we go. 2 tablespoons of apple juice. You could also use apple cider. That's a great fall flavor. That would work very well as an alternative. Okay, put that in the sink. And then we need a teaspoon of our 3 onion rub. We're gonna give that a nice stir. I'm doing this in a 2-cup prep bowl, so we have plenty of space. So I'm actually gonna switch over to my whisk because that will incorporate everything much better than a spoon will. And there is the timer on our air fryer oven. So perfect timing here. I am kind of sorry I threw that spoon in the sink because I'm gonna want it back for serving this, but that's okay, I'll grab a clean one. Okay, that's all nice and incorporated. Lid here, and next I will pull out our food. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna start with our cabbage. Actually, before I do that, let me lift the camera up so you can see it coming out. Now I am going to, when I plate this up here so I can explain it first, and then I'll move it back down again so you can watch me plate it. So when I plate this, if you were going to go out and do something, the Oktoberfest, tailgate, potluck, something like that, you could put this in something like our insulated serving bowls. I would use the 4-quart. This is the 1-quart, so it's not going to be big enough for me to do that. But if you have one of our serving bowls, you can put it in the 4-quart. Take it wherever you're going, or even it just keeps it warm with that insulation. The lid goes right on the side like that, and you're ready to either have it ready when you host something or take it to go. So that is an option. Or if you have family members who are coming in at various times, if you're doing this on a weekday evening, you've got kids coming home from practice at one time or another, you know, a spouse coming home, everyone's, you know, those crazy weeknight schedules. It's nice to have it in something insulated to keep it warm for when people come home and are eating, if everyone's eating off schedule. So, but we are going to use our 45th anniversary serving tray for this, for our dinner tonight. I like doing that just because it's all nice and it'll be a great presentation for the family. Okay, and we're gonna pull the cabbage out of the oven, or the air fryer part. There we go. And this got stirred at 30 minutes and then again at 15 minutes left. So 30 minutes and 45 minutes into our baking time. Close that. And our sausage and apples are up here. So let me go ahead and move this down so you can see everything going on. We're gonna put our sauce right here. Wonderful. I'm gonna want that mitt back. Okay. We're just gonna put our cabbage here on the plate, or on the serving platter. Get some of it out, and I'm eventually just gonna do the quickest and easiest way here once I get enough out, because I want all of these juices to come out as well. Let me move this over a little bit so you can see it better. Actually, easy if I move these over. There we go. Okay. There we go. Look how beautiful that cabbage is. And I wish you could smell it because it just smells incredible. This is gonna be such a good dinner. Okay, one more scoop out. And then we're gonna dump it. I'll put that there. I'll grab my other mitt. Here we go. Just pour the rest of this on here. Look at all the juice. Okay. Look how nice that cleans out of the pan. Dishes tonight are gonna be so easy. None of that is sticking whatsoever. As I talked about, you know, what you can do during that hour of time when this is cooking, just to give you an idea of what I did during this hour. I was cleaning up the kitchen. I put away some groceries. And as you'll see here in a minute, I actually, like I said, recipes are more like guidelines. I actually added more apples too. Right before this started cooking, I decided that I wanted more than one apple for the family. So I cut up 2 more apples and added it in. Okay, so let me go ahead and spread this out a bit. The cabbage is our base here on the platter. Spread that out a little bit more. There we go, isn't that beautiful? Okay, I'm gonna grab my tongs and we're just gonna start moving the sausages over. There we go. And I did flip the sausages halfway through, but I really didn't need to. Again, you can see how easily these are coming off our baking tray there. And to be honest, usually these sausages stick to things. So I'm very, very pleased that I'm not gonna have to do a lot of scrubbing here. Okay, and then we're gonna move this apples over as well. Just kind of place them sporadically on our platter here. Again, the recipe calls for 1 apple, so that would have been 10 apple slices with our apple wedger. But I went ahead and did, like I said, 2 more apples, so we have a lot of apples. Come on. There we go. They are a little sticky from their juices there. Okay, and there we have it. There is dinner. Perfect. Like I said, this is great for a weeknight if you've got time to do things while it's cooking, but it's also a beautiful Sunday meal, Sunday dinner, or dinner with guests and, you know, an event or something like that. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to comment or send me a DM. I'm always happy to talk food and answer any questions you might have, and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.